Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike. Welcome back to the channel. And on this late night, I don't know what time it is. Anyway, I think it's after dinner. I've already had dinner. So anyway, listen, I want to bring up a subject I wrote a blog about today on the website, helvetiabushcraft.ch, and that's talking about getting started in bushcraft and how to do it. The best way to do it, bushcraft is a lot more than just going out into the woods and camping or building a structure in the woods and camping. I see a lot nowadays, people going out building these structures, these bushcraft camps, they call them, and I get that's okay. You do what you want to. And I think it's good. It's not a bad thing. The thing is that I don't always like going to the same place to go camping. I like to visit and see other things. And but we'll get more about that in a minute. What I wanted to talk to you about is how to get started in bushcraft and how I got started. Now, listen, I grew up in Louisiana back in the 70s and 80s, and it was a hot, humid, very stormy place to grow up in. But I had the chance that when I did grow up, to grow up on a farm, grow up in nature, grow up outdoors. Okay, so I got to see firsthand, what living outdoors meant, and I enjoyed it so much that I made sort of a career out of it, actually. But anyway, so I grew up with my brothers and cousins and friends and nephews and uncles and dad and grandparents, and we lived on a farm, off a farm. There was always a farm in the family, and our farms are very wooded, because we had cattle, we had vegetables and fruits and all these kind of things, and different kinds of livestock, and then we had our garden that we use also to eat from. We grew corn, watermelons, you name it, we grew it. Okay, whatever could grow on the ground in Louisiana, we did. Peas, beans, everything. So we lived a lot off of land, actually, because back then we had the land, we knew how to use it, and so that's what we did. Okay, we also hunted and fished. Okay, and we took advantage totally of all those things also growing up. Okay, my brothers and I, we'd often go fishing. I stayed a lot out at the lake with a good friend of mine, and all we did was hunted and fished and trapped. Did lots of trapping also, and we trapped not so much for the meat, but for the hides, because we would sell the hides to make a little bit extra money for school and stuff. And although I was never the greatest in trapping, I did do some trapping and and was a little bit successful. I had a brother that was much more successful, but yeah. Anyway, but we did lots of fishing and hunting, and we ate everything from squirrel to deer to duck to wild game, wild pork, wild turkey. Just anything we could basically, we could kill, we ate. And if we killed something we shouldn't have killed, we ended up having to eat that too. So you didn't want to mess around and kill a skunk or something like that either. So that's just being mean. So, yeah, so we grew up in this nature, and I remember going camping and not having a sleeping bag, just having an old warm wool blanket from the Army, usually not even a tent. We would sleep under the trees, or we'd build something real quick to get under. But we usually often watch the weather as much as possible. So I've actually slept under a boat even. But we always built a fire, and we'd bring some food out with us, and we would profit from cooking some beans and whatever, hot dogs and some burgers and that kind of stuff. And, and that's what we did. And if we, although I wasn't a big drinker, but if we could, we'd slip out some Cokes or have just had some water or lemonade or maybe even a beer. You never know. But yeah, we would do a lot of duck hunting off of camouflage blinds that you could even sleep inside of. We'd get there very early in the morning on a boat or whatever, and hunt like that. Even hunt from boats, even. Lots of fishing, like I said, in the lake and on the rivers. We used to catch a lot of mesa fish, catfish, bass, brim, whatever, and we'd fry up a good bit of fish that way. So just grew up doing all that. So this was my basis for bushcraft, basically living in the outdoors. Because, what bushcraft's about is not about surviving in the outdoors. It's about thriving in the outdoors. It's about being able to live comfortably outdoors. And in reality, you have enough education, enough knowledge that you don't have to go back in for food. Okay, you should be able to gather what you can find and live with it, and which means harvesting meat or harvesting wild plants, mushrooms, or even setting yourself up a place and growing your own. If it comes to that, and like I said, we did that with everything from our own beef to chickens to a pig. We had some geese, this kind of stuff, lots of eggs, this kind of like that. So, yeah, ate a lot of potatoes growing up. Anyway, so, after I graduated from high school and moved on from there, I went in the Army for 10 years, and I served in the infantry. And this was living outdoors as often as they could get us outdoors, basically from all climates, all places, from Alaska to Saudi Arabia, to the deserts of Yakima, to the deserts of High Plains Desert Yakima, which snowed really a whole lot in the wintertime, to the National Training Center in California, to the swamps of Louisiana, to, you name it, here in Europe, South America, Central America, the East Coast, West Coast, in the Pacific, we were just anywhere and everywhere training, and we had to learn to adapt our equipment, what we had, and our knowledge to whatever the environment was. And we did lots of training in these different environments, from cold weather training to hot weather training to jungle to forest training, whatever, So with this time, you're gathering all this information. We are taking some survival courses. We are learning some survival things. Depends on who you are and where you're at for what level that you're learning. But so we're doing that. And for 10 years, I did that. And then I moved over here to Switzerland. And about 17 years ago, I took a bushcraft course. And that's really where it really started out for me, for a different angle on the outdoors. For so many years, it had been a completely different, mindset. Of course, when I was a kid growing up, that was hunting and this kind of stuff. And then we would come home and with the game, this kind of stuff. And in the Army, of course, you're being supplied. Okay. But when I got into bushcrafting, and that course changed my life a lot. And I recommend you taking a course. Even if it's what you can do is some classes on weekends, or like I did, get out and take a full 10-day course. I went to the UK. I took a Ray Mears course. Now, there are loads of great things about that course. A few bad things about it, I would say. And the bad things were basically they limited to you on the basic course, because that's what was the basic course I took with them, on what they would teach you and what they would explain to you. Now, of course, if you pointed out something and said, well, that's on the next course, you're like, whoa. I don't do that when I teach bushcraft. I try, if anybody asks a question, I try to find an answer for them and sort that out, and I think that's the right way of going. But anyway, everybody has their thing and what they can and can't do. And I remember the instructors, they weren't very happy about it, but they did what they did, So it was really interesting stories that my instructor, he was, I think he was an engineer. I want to think nuclear engineer. And of course, the UK was closing down all of its nuclear sites. He had a wife, had a big house, a mortgage, lots of cars, lots of things. And he just sort of, he got involved in bushcraft, and it changed his life. He basically gave up everything else, sold it all off, and started a new life in the outdoors. And very nice guy, very, very nice guy, The whole course was full of nice people. Even the people who were taking the course with me, most of them were office workers from London. They worked in IT and stuff like that. They did great on the course. Nobody did poorly on the course. Matter of fact, my my bunk buddy. I say bunk buddy. We sort of shared our areas together throughout the course, and that he was a dentist in the Army actually. So, but I had a great time on that course. I really enjoyed myself, and it wasn't a super easy course. It was a lot to learn, a lot of stuff to do. We had projects, that kind of stuff, and we got to touch a little bit on everything and take that back with us. And when I got back, I decided I'm going to start teaching this so I can improve my own skills. And so that's what I did. I started teaching people. I tried to do it for free in the very beginning. People just didn't take it seriously. So then I started charging. And so now I charge for courses. And I think I've only had maybe a few people that I've had very little contact with after the course. Most of my participants have always had some kind of contact. I'm very good friends with a lot of them recently, and we still go camping together and enjoy our times in the forest, that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, there's a lot to learn, a lot to do, and one of the major things that impressed upon me in that course is that knowledge. The more knowledge you have, the less you got to carry on your back. Now I've got it down to where I can pretty much almost all year round run around with a 30 or 40 liter backpack. I don't need. Now, sure, I'd like to have a bigger sleeping bag with me to keep me warmer, but the basic stuff that I have with me fits into that 30 liter, 35 liter backpack. So I'm able to carry everything I need, okay? And carry it comfortably inside the pack. I don't need to go out and do it. Now, of course, you add a lot of water to that. You add food. Depends on how many days. You know, you may need a bigger pack, of course. And I do. I carry a bigger pack when I go out for a lot of winter stuff because I tend to want to carry my big, plush, really nice, very warm, minus 55 degree sleeping bag. So it's just something that I want to carry with me because I'm older and it just, you know, I need that comfort level, you know. But I carry two mattresses, basically a foam one and then an air mattress also. But besides that, everything else is pretty much the same except maybe for food. You know, maybe I'll carry some food I need to cook, like sausages and potatoes and vegetables, this kind of stuff. Or I may carry dehydrated food. It depends on what I'm going to do. If I'm going to just do hiking, I would have, like I said, I did a 10-day hiking expedition this summer, carried primarily dehydrated food. It gets old very quickly. Unless you have lots of menus, then it's a lot different. But it does get old very quickly because you start missing things like bread and cheese and some sausages, this kind of stuff, or some a nice steak or something, you know, because you have a lot of chicken in these menus, but and lots of rice and pasta. But I mean, you have to go out and you have to seek information. So my first suggestion is either take some kind of a course, whether you go on to a long course all at one time, or you find somebody who can help you because you need that help and that motivation to learn the techniques. I mean, I remember when I was first building fire, I was the last one to finally make fire in the course because I just needed to work on my technique a lot better. A lot of them, they just sort of got it very quickly. I think I had too many other things involved in my brain, but I finally figured it out that I needed a lighter bow and longer strokes. Okay, taking my time, and there are other things, of course, that are involved in that. But you know, building fire is it's all about preparation, you know, and how you prepare for it. And but there are lots of things like that, you know, and there are a lot of things to learn. It's just a matter of you getting out there, putting the time in, and doing it little by little. Okay, I got a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. I love him to death. It's like a brother. He lives in Florida. He's got a little boy, and he was asking me the other day about he wants to go hot tenting, which basically means you go out with a nice tent that you can put a stove in, and you can sleep warm, sort of in that. The problem is that he lives in Florida. It's just too hot there. So I said, hey, why don't you just travel north, you know? And of course, the problem he's having is with the school for his son. His son's 9 or 10 years old. It's just finding that time, you know, to travel that distance to northern Georgia, and then from there, which is a good hump for him. That's an all-day drive just to get there. So he'd spend 1 day getting there, 2 days enjoying himself, and then 1 day driving back. You know, so that's a whole lot to do, but it's possible. And he can do it. So I suggest him for it over Christmas holidays. If he's not meeting with the family, this kind of stuff, he and his son just just do that. Just prepare a thing like that. And that's what I love doing. I love doing that. Now, a lot of people like hiking and camping all alone. I'm not a big fan of it. I like being with somebody. I like sharing these moments with people. And that's not always easy to do either. Find somebody who wants to do these things with you. So that also helps. So I would say if you're a couple and a family, a wife and a husband, take a course together, because it's something you can do together, you can learn together, you can practice together, and then afterwards you can come back and keep practice, keep educating yourselves, and you'd be surprised what will happen out of that. And if you have kids, I taught my kids how to make fire on our chimney in our home, and those two, man, would always like, hey, let me make the fire. We're talking about since they were little, so we're talking about 17 years ago, and they're both 21 and 23 now. So they've been making fire since they were little. And my son was an Eagle Scout, and my daughter, she would, whenever we went camping, of course, and I went in the forest with both of them, lots of hiking and walking in the forest, and they learned how to walk in the forest. They did more of that. That was the test, for them to be able to travel around in the forest with about a 500-kilometer loop that we would do, and that loop was uphill and then downhill, over things, around things, and they had been doing that since day one. We were hiking with them on us. We were carrying them, and then it got to where they started walking. They were walking that, and it got to where they could do the whole thing without help. That's when we knew that they were good. So, and they knew this area so well. It's an area that we didn't only walk in, but they knew it so well that if there was ever a fire or a problem at home, they knew I showed them a spot where to go, and that we would meet them there. And they were to stay there for as long as they had to. And they knew where a couple of blankets were at. They could get under some blankets out there, and they could wait for Mom and Papa to show up. And we knew where they'd be. So that's something else that we did. Anyway, just want to get this across to you, a little video. Get out there, find a course, find some classes, start taking them. If you're in the Switzerland area, you can contact me, and I'll be more than happy to help find either someone to give you a class, or I can teach you, okay? I was talking to someone in the area who also teaches, and we charge pretty much the same price. So we know what's going on, okay? And he sends people to me, I send people to him. It depends on, timing and all this kind of stuff, and what they can do actually. So right now it's winter time, it's December. A lot of people tend to not want to go out in the camping in the outdoors in the cold weather. I prefer it. You learn a lot more, you do a lot more, and you have a bit more fun together. There's less bugs, and you're around the fire together, and it just makes a much nicer environment. But anyway, listen, get out there, study plants, study mushrooms, and this kind of stuff. But one thing I pointed out also in my blog is if you're, whatever plants and mushrooms you're studying, get with someone who is an expert. For mushrooms, even plants, get with a pharmacist. Here, where I live, you can bring mushrooms that you pick to a pharmacist. They will rummage through them. They will go through them, and then they will tell you what's good and what's not good and how to prepare things. So you got to be very careful. You can eat processed oak seeds or nuts, okay? But you got to process it first. You can't just eat them like that. They have cyanide in them. So you have to basically roast them, beat them into almost like break them up really well after you've roasted them, then throw them in a mesh bag into some flowing water for about 24 hours, take them out, okay? Beat them up into like a paste, let that dry out, and then you can make a bread with it. You can make you can eat it. You can bake it, this kind of stuff, make biscuits, that kind of stuff with it. So, but until you do that, it's poison. It's cyanide. A lot of it will kill you. But what you do is when you heat it up, it changes the molecular structure. It changes the cells in it to a different form. And so when you wash it, you're bleeding out all of that poison. Basically is what you're doing for 24 hours, like in a stream or something, in a mesh bag. It bleeds out all that poison. It's no longer there. And then, like I said, you can take it back up. You can let it, dry it out, and then you can use it as a flour. Anyway, listen, just a little basic information, some of the stuff that I know. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell, so you can catch all of the any notifications in the future from our site or from my site. And please go to continue checking out my videos. Go to helvetiabushcraft.ch and you can see what we're selling on our website. Right now, it's mostly surplus items, one-offs, but little by little, we're going to try to build this up to where we're selling more and more specifically bushcraft outdoor items. Everything's pretty much outdoor anyway, but you'll see some other things on there also that they're more collectibles. But anyway, I hope you have a good evening. I hope to hear from you very soon, and I thank you for watching the channel. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Bye-bye.